Bugs. There's been a lot of hullabaloo around eating insects lately, and since I'm making a video on it, I'm obligated to say there's a word for it. Entomophagy. I love the English language. Eating the bugs has become a big meme lately, mostly from people on the right when they start talking about Klaus Schwab and his books. They feel there's a massive push from the mainstream media to normalize the eating of creatures we typically associate with filth, disease, and danger. Because there is.
Here in London, eating insects isn't really a thing, but soon we might not have a choice.
There is a massive push to make you okay with eating the bugs. And I don't know about you, but when I start seeing everybody say the same thing, I start to get a little suspicious. But what's wrong with eating the bugs, and why is it getting so much attention? Is it really the only way to save the world? Or is there something more sinister happening here? It's the second one, obviously. But let me address the first point before we get there. I am going to tell you that it is not at all obvious to me that bug farms are worse for the environment in any way than traditional animal farms. This is a very long explanation, and I'm just not going to get into it in this video, so instead I'll recommend a video you can watch afterwards. Everything from the methane argument to the use of critical resources is either greatly exaggerated or outright false. Another good source for this is the book/film Sacred Cow. I recently finished the audiobook and it completely changed my perspective on beef and other kinds of meat farming. That's right, I read a whole damn book for this video. And let's try to remember that the people who want you to eat the bugs are the same ones who are flying around in private jets. These people don't care about environmentalism or sustainability. They care about money and power. And that's why, in this video, we're going to follow the money. According to one report, the insect farming industry is projected to be worth more than $9 billion by 2030. In 2020, a French insect farm convinced Robert Downey Jr. to give them $224 million to expand their business. We've all seen this video, right?
The company is called Insect, and as you have there, this is a powder derived from the mealworm, and it's a insect protein just been approved by the EU for human consumption.
You're not just getting me to eat dirt, are you?
This clip is actually the perfect example of the powerful and the media forcing the bugs down your throat. You have one of the investors of a company shilling his product to millions of unknowing Americans in what is effectively a free ad for this same product. That company, Yinsect, originally farmed mealworms to be used as animal feed and fertilizers, much like the use of half of America's corn. See my previous video for my thoughts on corn. I am totally fine with this. Fish and chickens love to eat bugs, and they can upcycle the nutrients into something that's actually palatable for us. But in 2021, the European Union approved the sale of certain bugs for human consumption, meaning Downey's investment likely skyrocketed. Bugs are ridiculously cheap to farm. They live their whole lives in plastic crates, and almost the whole process can be automated. If you assume that the bug foods market expands as it's projected to, a bug farm is a fantastic investment. Which is probably why Mark Cuban's company recently invested $2.5 million in a company called Chapul Farms, which actually appeared on Shark Tank, I guess.
There is no way I'm eating that.
The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation also dumped $100,000 into a company called All Things Bugs, because of course they did. Because of course Bill Gates wants you to eat the bugs. Oh my god, you can't even write this. It is my opinion that cost is the main motivator in getting people to eat the bugs. If you can make it cheap enough and process it well enough, it basically becomes the protein equivalent of junk food. It's cheap, highly processed, and you can put it in literally everything. Many companies currently make pastes and flours out of their bugs to increase the protein content of things like bread and cookies, which is kind of gross if you think about it. Your bread might be made of bugs in the future. Why not invest in what may end up being the cheapest possible form of protein, especially if you can undercut more conventional proteins like beef, chicken, and pork? I found one study that indicated protein from bugs actually had really high bioavailability, as much as, if not more, than casein. The implication is that you could effectively fortify things like bread to make them healthier. Things like this actually had me rethinking my position on insects as food. However, there are still massive risks with adding a whole new food group, and no one seems to want to talk about these risks. Basically, we have no idea if insects are actually healthy. Supporters of the bugs are quick to point out that most cultures have at least some form of insect food, and sometimes they're even perceived as delicacies. It is also overwhelmingly food for the starving and the poor. What they don't point out is that almost all of these bugs are scavenged, not farmed. The farming of insects gives rise to issues like food contamination. In one study that I've seen a ton of people cite, parasites were present in 80% of insect farms, and 30% of those parasites were potentially pathogenic to humans. Of course, all food can get contaminated, but there's something uniquely gross about getting a fungal infection from your dried crickets. Allergies also present a serious risk. Most people who are allergic to shellfish will likely also be allergic to insects, and it's somehow possible to develop a chitin allergy after repeated exposure. The reasoning for this is both really cool and really gross. It's theorized that your body will detect the chitin, assume it's a foreign invader like a parasite, and then produce an inflammation response. Your body literally senses the bugs and acts like it's an invasive force. I had a lot of trouble finding data on acquired chitin allergies though. Just kind of saw it in a research paper that I'd have to pay for to see, and I'm currently very poor. So maybe we'll come back to that data point some other time. Finally, and this point is pure speculation, but what if the bugs break out of the farm? Because insect farms can be multi-story buildings, they can effectively be placed anywhere, including close to cities. What happens when someone unleashes a swarm of locusts on Chicago, or the crickets take Manhattan? Invasive species are no joke, and since most edible insects come from the tropics, I have little doubt that whatever we end up farming won't be a local species. What if they edge out our local bugs and other animal populations begin to suffer? Will we still be saving the environment if an outbreak at the caterpillar farm means all the neighboring crops get lunched into oblivion? There are two things to take away from this video. The first is, we don't actually know all the risks and benefits of farming bugs. And the second is, there's an insane amount of money behind this. And the people with the money really want to get in your head and change how you think. It's not because they're evil. This is just normal business. This is perfectly logical behavior on their end. They want to make more money, and they want to expand their consumer base. My problem is the moral posturing and obfuscation. They'll tell you eating their bugs is the only way to save the planet, and that is one hell of a sales pitch. The growing artificial consensus that soon we'll have to eat the bugs is downright disgusting to me. If you tell me what I have to do, I don't really want to do it anymore. You guys remember when global warming was a reason to use less water, buy more fuel-efficient cars, and recycle, and it wasn't just an excuse to limit all of your freedoms? I miss those days. The problem isn't that they want you to eat bugs. I'm actually open to that. I mean, hell, I'll try anything twice. You fry that shit up in a wok, and I'll give it a shot. The problem is that they want to trick you into eating it by slipping it into other products. And if that doesn't work...
Kids are amazing, and they are the future of bugs because they're not as inundated with the social norms and the cultural conditioning.
They'll just force your kids to eat it. As always, thanks for watching. My channel has been growing a lot lately, and I've been getting a lot of awesome feedback from you guys. Hopefully you like me in full HD. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and remember to take care of yourself.